Hi, I'm Bilingual with Nadya, and today I'm going to be discussing motherhood. I have two children. I think everyone is way too demanding and asking too much from the mother, or maybe it's my personal opinion. And as I've lived in China for 10 years, I kind of, you know, developed this attitude as a tiger mom. And then it fits my personality, but to be able to go with this attitude, tiger mom, you have to be either very well organized or outsource many things to other the tutors, coach trainers. But I try to do everything by myself, and it's very tiring. It's just draining you off. And then you don't have to be a perfect mother. So that's why we work on this. Do you have to be a perfect mother? And what is a perfect mother? We work with my psychologist to work, to kind of, no, let it go. You don't have to be a perfect mother. What is a perfect mother? Is it a loving mother or a mother who cooks and takes her children to all classes and still fresh and then laughing, watching movies, talking to your husband, and then no, it's not. There's no perfect mother, unfortunately. And then if you feel this way, it's good to have a support as a psychologist, and then put in your description what is a perfect mother, and then maybe cross out some, because I had to go through crossing out many things of that, being on this position. Am I a perfect mother or not? I'm not a perfect mother. I tried my best, but yeah, I want to have some for myself, definitely. Follow for more, Bilingual with Nadya. What legacy and values do I hope to pass to my children? Number one is hard work. Hard work is very important. Number two, always follow through and finish what you've started. It's so good when you can have a look and reflect what have you done, and then praise yourself for this and say, yeah, that was a lesson I've learned from this. It doesn't work for me, and then I'm not going again for this experience. So yeah, hardworking, and then finish what you've started and reflect on it. Follow for more, Bilingual with Nadya. What advice I would give to new mothers or expecting mothers based on my experience? Have a helper in your family, because you will be very busy. And because your support system, probably like in-laws or mother, might be, insisting on something that they think it's very important, but having a helper or a trusted person without your like personal things, that would be actually good help. And then keep this. If you have a helper, you will have time for your child, for yourself, and probably for a husband. So have someone to help you to have energy, to save energy for yourself. And then if you have energy for yourself, then you will definitely be sharing it with others, and do not destroy your relationship. Follow for more, Bilingual with Nadya. Have my children adapted to living to different countries and cultures? It would be cool to ask them, but they went through a lot of struggles. Every move is a half a year downward. When you leave behind friends, you left your friends behind. You haven't make new friends, and it's emotionally very challenging. And then with one of my children, I've shared a lot of similar experience. With other child, I didn't, and it depends on the developmental stage and how old are they. If they moving before 6, it's good. From 6 to 9, it's still okay. But even though if you completely change the environment, and if your child is 7, you will struggle with culture shock. If it's teenage years, starting from 11 to 13, it's a disaster. 13 to 15, it's a disaster. So if you're planning to move and you know what you will be moving, so please seek advice among professionals. And what stage are you moving your child? If it's teenage stage or a bit earlier stage, you need to protect your family from moving. This is my advice because we didn't have good time moving. It's tough. So seek professional advice. This is the, or you can ask me, but having support from the practitioner that will tell you what you're going through with this particular child, with your child, that would be the best thing that I could advise. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. Personal story, a personal challenge. We moved from China from Beijing to London, and we've lived in China for 6 years by the time. And then I fell in love with China so much, and my ears were tuned into Chinese language. When we moved to London, it was December, and it was so dark. And but Beijing was okay. The weather and the sun it was enough. It was enough sun in Beijing, and it was so dark. I couldn't cope with this, and I was crying also in London for half a year probably. Because at that time the winter, it was so long that we've been waiting for summer, and the language that Londoners speak, it was completely different, and then my language wasn't good either, and I was riding a tube, and then my ears were tuned into Chinese language, and then I saw every person I saw with looking like Chinese person, Asian person. I was like, like this. So half of my body was cut off because when I moved from China to London, and then it took me, and no, I didn't recover from this. We were like our usual trips were Chinatown, going to Beijing dumplings, eating Beijing dumplings, and then putting shows. And I joined Russian school, Azbuka, and I was working there. And then I brought all my Chinese decorations, and we celebrated Chinese New Year, and so everything was like evolving about Chinese culture at that time. So it's up to you if you feel. Some companies don't keep international families, for 6 years. I know some international oil companies, you have your 2 years term and then you move on. So you don't root. But if you've been rooted and then somebody is like taking you out with your roots, it's very traumatic experience. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. So for me, there was like the fighting two parenting styles: yelling at my kids and trying not to yell at my kids and explain. But I wasn't taught how to not yell at my kids in Soviet Union back in my childhood. And then when you see a child like my son, he's very emotional. He's got personality like me. And then when I yell at him, he just goes like this and shuts down and walks away. And there's no communication. You cannot even continue this communication. And then it's dead end. But when I tried to talk about, for example, learning Russian, how it will help you, it didn't work. But like day by day, a little bit of saying this, and then that's why I got so creative. I've discovered so many ways to encourage my son to learn Russian. Because of that, yelling didn't work at all. So the creativity, and then investigating into learning how to become a logical parent, not emotional. It's worth your time. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. Were there times when I felt overwhelmed being a mother and then tired of my motherhood? Of course, that's all the time. And how did I cope with this? I go for massage to distance myself from this for a while. I go to explore some things like completely like improv and comedy classes, stand-up comedy classes, because I need to be challenged in other ways, like to seek for adrenaline, because this motherhood is making you so angry. You want to pour it somewhere, and then comedy is the best. Number 3, I discovered comedians, stand-up comedians, and then I found a lot of common between them sharing their experiences and my experience. What else I do? Shout, number 4. And then I regret. And then what else? Number five. Number five. Talk to counselors and international school, because they are the ones who you can share responsibility for parents. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. I had specific moments in my life that has deep impact on me as a mother. Yeah, plenty. But the most one is how to accept unacceptable. That is not in your culture. It is not in your cultural values. And you cannot accept it, but you have to live with this. Yeah. And this is the most dramatic effect, yeah, towards either cultures you moved in and you cannot accept it, or your personal life. Yeah. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. Story. This from my personal experience. When we moved to Saudi Arabia, I had to wear abaya, black abaya, and then I didn't realize it until I tried it on in China, like for fun, and I didn't even put this meaning of this. What are you putting on yourself right now? What are you stepping in right now? It's not just the clothes, it's the culture. So when you move into a place that you cannot accept, it's unacceptable. And then you have to follow the rules. Like, and I was so cross with this all my all time there. Then I refused to put on abaya, and I didn't go anywhere. I went only to international school where I worked. It was the bus drive, and I refused to go to other places because I didn't want to do this. Yeah, so this is the how to follow the rules if you don't agree with this, and then how my revenge has started there. Yeah. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. Hi, I'm Bilingual with Nadya, and today I'll be discussing international education and third culture kids. What is IB education? It's International Baccalaureate, or shorter, IB. There's 2 years of high school that students might take or might not take. So if you're in American school or in British school, your last 2 years, you can go for A plus or American diploma or IB. And this is how students grow, because they work so hard on subjects that they have to choose. There are 6 subjects you choose. And then you just work, like I would say these 2 years of IB equals 1 or 2 years in some universities. They extend their knowledge, and they know so much. Sometimes I feel like I have children that doing, my own children doing IB, and then sometimes I feel like they've learned so much at these 2 years of school that they wouldn't be able to learn so much in the rest of their life. So it's a lot of work on subject. For example, you need to choose 6 subjects: IB history. You can choose IB history, IB physics, IB English lit, and then math, and something else. I forgot, 6 subjects. And then you work, you learn, you listen to your teachers. Teachers are fantastic at ISKL. IB teachers, they're chosen one. They've been working for a long time, and they're so knowledgeable, so passionate. I adore them. And students, they adore them. Then you study, you write lots of papers. They learn how to analyze. They learn how to bring, so many things together. It's amazing. So I have experience as I'm mother of two children that took IB program, and I cannot highly recommend this. This is the best. If you want your kids to learn and work hard for the last 2 years of high school, this is the program. Go for it. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. They can learn a language on a very, very good level, like very confident users of this language. Or, for example, my son, he chose IB Russian literature, and there was a personal story behind it because he didn't want to learn Russian, and then there was a melting point that he said, "I'm not going to do this," and the only chance was to take this IB Russian literature, and then for him to be able to progress with the language, because when you learn the languages and if you're not progressing, you kind of stay to the very simple level of basic topics: traveling, eating, home life, and that's it. And you're not progressing, you're not developing your brain. So he took IB Russian literature, and we've got very good tutor from Singapore, the Russian philologist. And then he was able to read many classical Russian literature books by Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Pushkin, and Lermontov. And he was into Russian language, he was into Russian literature, and I was so happy. He got a bilingual diploma on for his Russian language. And since that time, his language and his language abilities and knowledge of Russian culture and Russian literature have improved a lot. I wouldn't be able to give him so much living abroad, because at some point teenagers just don't listen, and that's it, and they stop. And then if they don't speak your language, they becoming more distant because the other culture takes a lot, and then you cannot find an emotional connection with your children. So one of the ways to keep up with the language on a very good level is taking the IB classes. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. Challenges and criticism I face. High price for my lessons. And actually, yeah, some mothers are happy. Some parents are actually not willing to work. Actually, yeah, because I do work too much, and I want my students work too much to compensate that lack of language because they are in the international environment. And then some parents are not ready for this. Some parents are thinking that the price is too high. It's not even those prices, because whenever I teach children, I spend time on preparing to my lessons and after. So it's a lot of time I do actually behind the scene. I invest. And I would say that's it. Either they need to work too much outside of the classroom, and when they do not work, I ask them why you didn't do this, because you are not going with us right now in that direction. So your child will be, slowing down, and then we won't be able to get these skills by this end of the period. And then you never know what's going to happen next year. Yeah, I would say, yeah, I'm a workaholic, and I want parents to work as hard as me, but not everyone is ready for this. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya. My approach to parenting has evolved as I moved around the globe dramatically. Do you yell at children? Do you scream at them? Russian parents do this. Probably Asian parents, they do this too. You can see it in public places, on the street. So when I moved to China from Russia, I was kind of having this approach that screaming, I know it's not good, but it works in some situations. And we joined international school. It was TIS, TED International School in Tanggu, China. And then we had very smart counselor, Lalita Schmalenberg, and she was holding workshops for us. And then once I approached her with this question, why you don't shout to your children and to students? Why us Russians, we do this? And then she asked me, have you ever had parenting classes before your children were born? I said, no. And that was the, say, Western approach to parenting for me. I realized that we're doing things completely differently. And then I've never heard about classes, how to become a parent. And back in my days, now there are plenty of information and plenty of classes, that workshops that you can go. But at that time, you were on your own. And so since that time, I've been working on my approach to parenting, from not to shouting, but moving on to explaining what is a good choice, what is a bad choice. But it's still work in progress. I cannot tell that I can, hold myself and use the tone of voice that I can speak calmly and reasonably, and not going into shouting and yelling. So that is, I'm working on still. Follow for more. Bilingual with Nadya.